What is the meaning of detachment from work? Namaste and welcome. Today we will understand what is the meaning of detachment. As a customer service engineer, a young man called Samir, he used to get numerous calls from clients regarding their software problems. Now you see, Samir is a specialist in resolving coding issues and throws himself into each challenge, getting to the root of the problem and combining his engineering skills with hypothesis-driven intuition. And he hopes to cater to each of his clients. But of course, not every problem is solved in the first go, and not every client's behavior is reasonable and respectful. For those in the customer service roles, this can be a tough pill to swallow. It is tough. Customer service में रह के in and out, getting all these irritated people calling you. Doing this work day in, day out, putting their heart and soul into each call can be exhausting, and criticism can feel personal. Even like a direct attack. At EAP-India, our director and clinical psychologist, Anjana Gaikwad says, many of us link our behavior, our productivity, and our performance with our self-worth. And failure can feel like rejection and crumble our self-worth. I have experienced that. I have been in work situations where I have taken it too emotionally close to me. The success or failure of a project, at the end of it, took away so much of my motivation and left me rejected and really depressed sometimes. But for Samir, the experience is different. When clients get irritable and impatient with his solutions or ideas, it does not feel like a personal attack. Instead, he rolls with the punches, learning from his failures and using it to help solve other similar problems. Well, don't mistake Samir's humility for disconnection. He is very passionate about the work he does, but the most important difference is where he channelizes his passion. So Samir says, I try to take my ego out of the customer service interaction. I invest more emotionally into the engineering problems that are presented. Now, this kind of humility can be incredibly valuable. It's related to the wider theme of emotional detachment from work that is strongly embraced in the Indian culture. आपने तो ये श्लोक सुना ही होगा, कर्मण्येवाधिकार रस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन. You have a right to actions, but never to the fruits thereof. You should never be motivated by the results of your action. This is our Indian culture. This is what Hinduism has taught us for thousands of years. And now modern research findings are showing evidence of its benefits and how it can help employees achieve more without driving them to emotional and physical burnout. When employees have a healthy detachment from work, it creates a space for a sense of objectivity and an opportunity for self-reflection, to explore their own needs, leading to general improvement in productivity. This is what research is showing now. Though detachment is a helpful tool, when it comes to work, there is a very fine balance that employees have to find between caring too much or too little and achieve the necessary distance between self and work. Okay, let's see. What was the last project you worked on? Take a minute to think about it. Was it a coding component, a report, or a design? Did you get any negative comments from your boss or clients? Yeah? How did it make you feel? Well, if All of you have received only praise. Imagine someone was rude with you on the phone. Most likely, the negative comments may trigger feelings of anger, shame, and embarrassment. Happened to me. So I put my hand up first. Well, detachment can help you to process these feelings in a productive and regulated way. So, what is detachment? Detachment is when you are able to recognize and let go of emotions such as anger, hurt, or sadness without being completely engulfed by them. Without the burden of these hurt feelings, employees can objectively receive feedback and work at new solutions or options. The emotional detachment from work can be most beneficial because even researchers in 2014 at a German university compared the problem solving performance of those varying in emotional states. And it was astonishing to note that the neutral mood reasoners, those who were in the neutral mood when they were reasoning, outperformed participants in positive moods also. So any participant who was in a positive mood, the neutral mood reasoners did better than them. This is just like Samir, who can calmly focus on the engineering problems. So too, the study's more natural, neutral-minded participants coolly solve complex problems. I think in another work and organizational study, the connection between psychological detachment and psychological well-being was investigated. According to Edzian et al., psychological detachment refers to the experience of gaining mental distance to one's work while being away from the actual work situation. The results showed that high levels of psychological detachment led to employees being able to withstand demanding jobs and workloads without psychosomatic complaints. So psychosomatic complaints means loss of sleep, difficulty in concentration, and things like that. So while employees that were overly attached to their work were emotionally exhausted and complained of psychosomatic effects like cardiac problems or sleep issues or bodily aches and pains, this study provides evidence that psychological detachment works as a moderator and is seen as a protective factor. So the moment आप psychologically detached हो, आपको एक wall, एक layer मिल जाता है protective factor का. And in fact, ये holistic benefits of psychological detachment, that these go beyond work. This can be useful not just for work and productivity, but for other areas of your life. So Priyanka, an HR manager, I'm using a false name so that I can keep her identity secret. So Priyanka, she confided in me about her intense connection to her job. She could not switch off from the upcoming challenges and tasks. It was interrupting her family life, her personal space, and with some guidance and conscious detachment, she created a separation between aspects of her life. She reported back a few months later of how she had noticed the benefits of detachment instantly. Her mood was better and her quality of work had improved. However, many often mistake detachment from work with not caring at all, which then could lead to disregard or indifference. In Aristotle's words, the virtue of detachment is the mean point between the two extremes of excess and deficiency. For Priyanka, detaching herself from her job made her realize that she was not defined by her work, but had a life outside of it too. Detachment, ladies and gentlemen, is a learned skill. Mastering the skill requires conscious effort and regular practice. There are a few techniques and strategies that I would suggest which will release you from an unhealthy connection between work and self. One is focus on the objective of your work. Let's say your objective was to run a project and get 100 employees involved. When reflecting on your work, ask yourself, did I work towards my goal? And not focus on things like, did I make everyone happy? Duh, because we can never make everyone happy. But if we are working towards our goal, then we are on the right track. Find out what makes you you beyond work. Miss Patricia Linville is an associate professor at Duke University and introduced the psychological concept of self-complexity. So it's an idea that each person has a multitude of identities. Like you are a friend, a parent, or sibling in a social context. You may be a badminton player or a Team India cricket fan in a recreational context, and also an HR manager or a customer service representative in your professional context. The concept of self-complexity holds the idea that the more complex self-representation of your life, the more resilient you will be to the negative effects of stressful life events. Which means कि आप पूरी लाइफ अगर आपकी जॉब को समझ लेंगे तो अगर जॉब लॉस हो गया या लेट्स से जॉब में पॉलिटिक्स हो गया तो आपको उसका बहुत ज़्यादा नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट होगा. इसीलिए मेक योर लाइफ मोर कलरफुल, मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स, हैव फ्रेंड्स, follow a hobby, continue to build deep, meaningful relationships with your friends and family. हाँ, काम को इम्पोर्टेंस दो, पर आपके लाइफ में और भी चीज़ों को इम्पोर्टेंस दो. और एक इम्पॉर्टेंट हैबिट फॉर्म करनी बहुत ज़रूरी है, दैट इज़ क्रिएटिंग स्ट्रिक्ट बाउंड्रीज. पर्टिकुलरली जो एम्प्लॉयज़ घर से काम करते हैं या हाइब्रिड वर्किंग मोड में हैं, जहाँ काम और पर्सनल लाइफ घुल मिल जाते हैं. हियर इफ यू आर नॉट केयरफुल, it will always be difficult to practice detachment. So some suggestions are like having a cut-off time for work and not looking at anything related to work after that particular time. So समझ लो शाम को 7 बजे आपने लैपटॉप बंद कर दिया, you switch off from work. And कल सुबह जब 9 बजे आप शुरू करेंगे तभी आप ईमेल्स चेक करेंगे, तभी आप सारा कुछ चेक करेंगे रिलेटेड टू वर्क. और एक आइडिया है कि हैविंग डिनर्स वेयर देयर आर नो गैजेट्स एंड स्पेंडिंग टाइम विद फैमिली वेयर यू आर स्पेंडिंग एन आवर प्लेइंग कार्ड्स विदाउट एनी डिवाइसेस क्लोज बाय. दीज आर सिंपल everyday techniques that can become habits if done regularly and consciously. Another useful technique is called metacognition. It is the practice of thinking about your thinking. So you focus on your own mind and examine if there are topics about which you are particularly argumentative or get you irritated to such an extent that you routinely overreact. Yeah? So for example, आप ऑफिस में जाते हो, कोई चीज़ है जो आपको बहुत इरिटेट करती है और उससे आप ओवर रिएक्ट करते हो. बंदा कोई भी हो, लेकिन आप ओवर रिएक्ट ज़रूर करोगे. वेल, इफ this is yes and you're getting into disagreements that cause you to emotionally react, please get help. Talk to a counselor or a friend because it is a sign that there is something else going on. Now, metacognition is a whole topic in itself, which I can perhaps make another video about. But for now, all I can say is there is no shortcut to learning the skill of detachment. The reality is that work, detachment, and yourself are intensely personal concepts, and there is no one size fits all. To get better at detachment, try some of the techniques I mentioned above. Reflect on what works for you, because this ability of detaching from work will unlock a tremendous potential within you. Evolution of human beings mean that we are biologically programmed to avoid failure. कोई भी नाकाम होना नहीं चाहता, पर फीडबैक लेकर खुद के ईगो को मैनेज करके वो डिटैचमेंट लाके जब आप ऑब्जेक्टिवली आपके काम पर फोकस करते हैं तो आप जीत की ऊंचाइयां अचीव कर सकते हैं। जैसे समीर ने कहा, माय प्रायोरिटी इज सॉल्विंग द इंजीनियरिंग प्रॉब्लम and not focusing on personalizing the rude or disrespectful behavior of some clients. Now, this is how useful detachment can be to individual work and success in the workplace. As always, thank you for watching. Please do subscribe, comment, and like so that we can do more of these and get ideas on what you would like me to talk about. So I truly believe that employee wellness leads to successful business. Be yourself and enjoy the adventure of life, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you.